the scent of your prey, and then you hunt them down. That's the only thing you're committed to.
It keeps me sharp, on the edge, where I gotta be.
You want to be making moves on the street, allow nothing to be in your life that you cannot walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you spot the heat around the corner.
Now, my life's a disaster zone because I spend all my time chasing guys like you around the block.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
You've been walking through our life dead.
All I am is what I'm going after.
From The Godfather to Scent of a Woman.
What do we got?
From Raging Bull to Goodfellas.
Assume they got our phones, assume they got our houses, assume they got us.
Their performances have created a legacy of landmark films.
I want full surveillance. That's 24 hours, round the clock. We never close, open 7 days a week.
Now, for the first time, America's two most electrifying actors collide.
With this guy, there's more cheap you should pass.
The bank is worth the risk. You should take it down.
12.2 million.
You're up.
This crew is good.
It ain't worth the risks you take. Like in risk versus reward, baby.
You're fugitive number one with a bullet.
I'm double the worst trouble you ever had.
If I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, you are going down.
What if you do got me boxed in, and I gotta put you down? Because no matter what, you will not get in my way. I will not hesitate for a second.
Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer in a Michael Mann film. Heat.
And welcome to the House of Fandom. And this is your host, Clark, on the check-in. And just want to say hello out there to everyone. I'm joined by my amazing co-host, the panel, doing the retro House of Fandom review. Starting off with Danny. How you doing this evening, Danny? How's your week going?
Week's going good. Super busy there at work, but I'm really excited about what we're going to cover tonight.
Awesome. And we got my man up there with representing Detroit background. Love it. What's up, man? What's up, Spike? How's your week going and how's your evening going?
Awesome, bro. Good looking out, man. Appreciate it. Ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. Oh, yeah, definitely. And the person who never gives up and who is the man with the plan, the myth, the legend. He's here. Mr. Tank. Tank, what's up, man? What's going on? How you doing? And how's your week going?
Week's been good. I was had my first day back to work after a mini vacation. So yeah, doing good. I'm ready to get back to it.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, let's get down to business. I'm going to hand it off to Danny because we have got
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Clark. Appreciate it. Yeah, tonight we want to do something a little bit special for the audience, for the viewers watching at home. We just finished wrapping up Loki season 1, and we were just kind of putting our brains together, like, what should we do this week? And out the blue, we kept in contact. We were all talking about what plans we want to do for tonight. And I just happened to watch one of my favorite movies of all time, and kind of shared it with the panel in our chat. And we all agreed. I mean, this is a good time to bring back retro review, so I'm excited to bring it back to the audience here at House of Fandom. We are going to be covering a 1995 all-time classic, Heat, directed by Michael Mann, starring none other than two living legends, Mr. Al Pacino and Mr. Robert De Niro, titans of the screen, joining together on screen for the very first time together. Mention my words, together. And we want to get into it with the audience today. We want to share this with you guys, and we want to discuss amongst ourselves, and we want to get everybody's perspective on this particular film. It is a little bit older, yes, which is why it's a retro, baby, but let's get into it. So, gentlemen, before we get into the inner workings of, let's call it a masterpiece. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm a little biased to this here. But that being said, I mean, we have Clark, as always, in the check-in, Mr. Spike, and good old Tank over here. 4 completely different dudes with completely different opinions who just saw the same exact movie Some of us
Yep.
for the first time, some of us have seen it a million times. But
Mhm.
let's get into it there. Gentlemen, starting with Clark. Clark, um, you and I, when we first started here at the House Fam together, one of the very first episodes that we shot was actually a retro review, ironically, of Mr. Al Pacino and two of his finest roles
Yeah.
there, Scarface and Carlito's Way. So clearly,
Mm.
you already know that I'm a Pacino fan. I know you are as well too. So, you know, this particular movie is a little bit different than some of other Pacino's movies. There, I mean, tell me what the movie Heat means for you.
Well, first, that was a great episode, by the way, for the viewers out there. If you haven't checked it out, it is the Scarface Carlito's Way retro review, and that was a really fun episode. So one of the earlier, reviews that Danny and I did. So check it out if you haven't already. You'll find it under the House of Fandom playlist. But getting to this movie. This was an iconic movie in the sense that you have two legends in acting finally actually acting in the same scene. Now, keep in mind, we all know that Al Pacino, Godfather, and also
Mm-hmm.
Robert De Niro was in The Godfather Part 2. And so
Mhm.
we know that they were in the same movie together. In fact, Robert De Niro portrayed Vito Corleone in his early years. So actually, Al
Mhm.
Pacino's dad, Papa. So it just leads us to this moment in 1995 when you have an amazing, cast of characters, but these two actors, man, really just knocked it out of the park for me. And it resonates because it's so gritty and so real. And the performances
Yep.
are, I think, one of the best performances of both of those iconic characters' careers, and other folks in there that as well, actors and actresses that were in that film that we'll, I'm sure, cover in the course of this review. So that's my take,
Mhm.
Danny. I obviously have so much more to say, but to just kick things off, I mean, iconic. That's all I could say. As Spike would say, iconic.
Yes. Absolutely, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely, Clark. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm excited to unpack this with everybody here today, just to get everybody's perspective here. Spike, for yourself, when I first mentioned that I was watching Heat, and I can't count how many times I've seen it, but I decided to just watch it on one random day off. You were the first one to kind of respond and be like, "Oh man, that is just an awesome movie there." So clearly,
Mhm.
you're a fan of the film itself here. I mean, same question I asked Clark a moment ago. I mean, what does the movie Heat mean for you? I mean, it was such an old movie now, 1995. Uh, I mean, does it still kind of hold up for you here? Are you still as excited about the movie as you saw it back then that is today?
Absolutely. I think that as a fan of movies in general, he's one of those movies that you would, it stands the test of time. I mean, 1995 doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was over 20 years ago. It's 26 years ago. But the acting is really well. It's shot well. It's a movie that is very captivating, and like we mentioned previously in our talks, it's although it's extended, for most people, it's one of those movies that you lose yourself in very quickly. You don't realize how long you're sitting there watching it. I mean, there's never a dull moment for me in that movie. It just keeps going. So it absolutely holds up. It's one of those things that it's a movie for me personally that if it's on, I have to sit down and watch it. No matter
Agreed.
where
Yeah,
it's at. I have
absolutely.
to sit down and watch it every time.
Yeah, that's actually probably the best way to kind of describe it there. It's like it's one of those
Mm-hmm.
movies, it's a classic when you've seen it before, it's been on the air, but anytime it's on television, you do have to stop to watch maybe a little bit, maybe catch your favorite
Mm-hmm.
scene. We'll
Yep.
talk more about ours in a second there, but yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. It is definitely a classic in that regard there. So, I mean, I love it. I love it. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Spank. I did it again, guys. I did it again. I feel like every time I say when I call you guys Spain together, I feel like that's when we have a good show. So I think this is going to be a good show. That's a good
That's a
sign.
good omen.
I got
It's
it
a
out
good
the way.
omen.
I got it out the way early today, guys. Okay, well, good. Sorry, I meant to say Mr. Tank. Now, Tank confessed to us here that he's never seen the movie, which I love it when it happens because I'm always excited to get a fresh opinion on something that's maybe beloved to me, but maybe different for somebody else here. Tank is notorious because he has a track record of pretty much demolishing my past childhood movies, things that I'm currently into today. So I mean, I'm bracing for it, but I'm positive. I mean, I'm optimistic that this is going to go better with Heath there, but we'll find out from taking a second. Tank, this being your first time seeing the movie, don't feel like you're obligated to say you like it because we like it here. I mean, give us your honest opinion. How did you feel about watching Heat for the first time?
Um, First, I mean, like I said, I wasn't expecting it to be, as long as it was. When I put it on, I was like, oh, this is the end game of crime movies, apparently. um, like, like that one scene in the diner where like the one dude who started shooting like all the cops, and he just quickly, just without even showing any real emotion, just slammed his head down on the table, and he just knew he
Yeah.
messed up. So that was so I mean, so I think just stuff like that. I relate more, go more with De Niro's character in Heat.
Yeah, no, good. That's good. All right, so we got two for Pacino, one late one for De Niro here. So I guess I got to throw my hat into the ring here. I honestly I agree with Tank. I think De Niro was the one kind of stole the show for me in this one here. It just felt like a little bit more of kind of like Clark said, a little bit more methodical.
Mhm.
But I loved the confidence De Niro had, a calm, cool, collective way
Mhm.
about how he handled his work. I mean, it was no decision making required because the rules were in place for him. And at the
Mhm.
same time, I just feel like he was so intelligent for every step of every part of the plan. I mean, he literally had. Give me 1 second here. Excuse me. Okay, as I was saying, like he had every piece, every angle, every escape route figured out from the get go.
Mhm.
And, you get a real understanding of his character very early on in this movie here. I mean, um, the beginning robbery when they take out the armory truck, right? I
Mhm.
mean, they blocked off exits specifically so they couldn't get them. They boxed them in. They ran the vehicle. They have this rogue on their team that they've never worked with. They pick them up for this one. He loses it. Clearly, he's not right up there in the head. He takes out two of the guards. Bang, bang. At that point, he didn't have time to be upset with him or react to what was going on. He
Mhm.
saw, okay, we have two people down. We have a third one over here that's injured. What should we do? Everybody looked at De Niro and they just took care of him. Did they
Mhm.
want to? Absolutely not. Why? Simply, they didn't want to leave any witnesses behind. And Pacino said it great when he came to the crime scene himself. As soon as it became a murder one, he said, "What's the point of leaving any witnesses?" Bang, bang. This guy was taken out execution style. So I just love how, like, under pressure in a situation. I mean, I don't know. I've never robbed a truck before. I don't know if anybody has on the panel here, but I don't know if I can react to that as quickly as De Niro did in that circumstance there. That was straight up just like, okay, all right, not how it's supposed to go, but bang, bang, we're done with this guy. I'm going to handle this guy once we get out of here.
Mhm.
Goes in on one of these heists there. He has everything methodically planned out. The escape, like I mentioned a second ago, the attack on it there, even the backup for a backup. The guy's truly a genius at work here. And it's
Mhm.
like nothing you've ever seen anybody locally, like a detective in the local LAPD, having to handle. This is usually stuff that you leave for military, FBI, and all those other guys involved there. So, I mean, I like the fact that you have a worthy adversary in De Niro, but you also have an amazing, almost psychotic detective in Al Pacino here. Let's just call it what it is here. He was a little
Mhm.
wacky in that movie there, but he did that
Mhm.
intentionally, though, guys. He did that intentionally. He actually was on record saying that even though it was not shown in the movie, he and Michael Mann had discussions about how he was going to portray his character, excuse me. And he said this was probably one of the riskiest characters he's played up to this part of his career. He played him as if he was always high. He admitted that his character, it was ne- they did a couple scenes there to kind of test it out, but Michael Mann and Al Pacino agreed together that it would probably be too much of a distraction for what the story was going to be. So they
Mhm.
opted to omit the reasoning behind his character mannerisms and how his outbursts and all the stuff that he did with some of his informants there. So he actually confessed that, yeah, believe it or not, he played the character kind of high. Not because he wanted to do it for his own gain and excitement there, like he had a problem. He thought by playing him that way, it's more relatable to a detective on the street, always trying to be sharp, always trying to be aware of what's going on in the streets out there, always being on
Mhm.
top of everything there. So Truly amazingly written characters. Usually when you have a kind of a battle between two parties, usually you favor one very close. I mean, very almost like it's a no-brainer. I like this character way more. This was equally balanced writing here on both sides of the table here. And then you put in two iconic actors who have never had a chance to work together, even though they really did want to work to each other. It just never came about. Now, Michael Mann's genius, because I think he truly was a genius in this one here. He knew everybody who wanted to watch the movie was going to watch it because they wanted to watch, De Niro and Pacino finally have a scene together. We didn't get that until very later in the movie. And man, it was genius there. You go into it expecting to see them kind of cutting up the entire movie. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, after almost well over 20 years since The Godfather, at that point, had two scenes together. And when you finally got them, you felt like you were going to jump out of your seat when it finally happened. Like, this is it. It's finally going to happen. But before we dissect that scene that I'm leading up, all that being said, gentlemen, these characters, they did all have their own subplot to this here. Some more than others. I think Val Kilmer was probably the most fleshed out on the crew outside of the side of De Niro here, I would say. Starting with Clark here again, did you kind of like the character that Val Kilmer was portraying there, kind of that rugged, kind of down in his luck, but has everything and doesn't know what to do with it kind of guy? And, what did you think of Val Kilmer's character in here? Did you think that he serviced the plot? Do you think he was a good addition, or did you think he kind of took away from the movie itself?
No, I mean, he basically was the complete opposite of Robert De Niro's character in that he was governed completely by his emotions. And it's an interesting case study because when you consider throughout the whole movie, he was reckless. And the one time that Robert De Niro's character, Neil, takes it personally and gets emotional, that's his undoing. And that was when he wanted to get revenge with Waingrove. He should have just took off. Remember what he said? You just take off. It's not personal. He made it personal. As soon as he allowed his emotions to govern his decision making, is what was the beginning of his undoing, because it gave Pacino the jump on him.
Yeah, that's when he started kind of losing it a little bit there too.
Right.
And I mean, something else also happened in between too. They were supposed to be an exchange of the goods, if you will, to the original owner who they stole from. A deal brokered by John Voight's character, where it was clever. They said, "Hey, listen, we have your product. It's fully insurable, so you got it covered. We'll take, I think it was like 40 or 60% off the top here." And it seemed like it was going to be an okay exchange. And then the guy got cocky and he wanted to come out to Pacino's crew and that situation over there. So
you mean De Niro's crew?
I'm sorry.
I
apologize there.
De Niro, yeah.
De Niro's
I know
crew.
what you meant. I
Yeah,
just
De
want to
Niro's
make sure.
crew.
Yeah, De Niro.
Yeah. So De Niro's crew. And things start to unravel for the crew there. There's a lot of moving parts here. You got Pacino chasing down the crew. You're dealing with this business owner who pretty much tried to kill you at the exchange. You got Waingrove out there. Characters like De Niro are trying to facilitate this whole thing. And by the way, he meets this girl that he likes at the bookstore, and now he finds himself breaking his rules here. So you're starting to slowly see De Niro's kind of fall from grace, if you will. Not necessarily where he's not in control, but there's so many things he has to control at once that now he's starting to see the challenges. And now Pacino's getting an opportunity to catch up, like Clark said a moment ago there. So, but there was a pivotal moment that I thought was probably one of my favorites that we're not going to go. We have two scenes we're going to cover. This is one that's not in there for the viewers here, but this is one of my favorite ones, is when Pacino cases out the warehouse to where they're going to start drilling at there to get prepared for the next heist. And De Niro's out there in the shadows in that corner, kind of keeping watch everything. And Pacino has an entire crew with him ready to get these guys as soon as they leave the warehouse there. And one police officer decides to sit down and make the slightest noise. And at that point, De Niro didn't know what it was for sure. He just knew something was off. And he said, we're calling it off right now. Just like that. Just like that. And I love that scene so much because it just shows you how strong De Niro is to the principles of what he's doing as far as a bank robber is concerned. But a fun fact about that particular scene right there, this goes back to what I was saying with Michael Mann, the director of this film. His friend, the Chicago PD officer who was a consultant and writer on Heat itself, that was actually came from a true life event. When he was an active detective on the Chicago PD, he was going and chasing down the real Neil at that point in time, and they were attempting to rob a kind of like their version of Macy's. I forget what he called it there, but it was like a Macy's, J.C. Penney, if anybody knows what I'm talking about there. They cased it out. The gentlemen who were on the crew were in the basement for 3 days, waiting for the perfect time to raid the entire store and take all the money. They had 2 police officers on the cover there the entire time. And when they believed they were close to getting them to reveal themselves, one of the police officers went to the bathroom and they heard the footsteps. At that point, the real Neil that that De Niro's based on did the same exact thing that De Niro just did, and he walked away. So they took real actual events from this guy's career and kind of flushed out De Niro's kind of methodical thinking of how everything should go from an actual real life situation there. They actually wound up catching him a couple months later, and he wound up killing the real Neil there. But we'll go into that more later because that's actually part of the ending here that we'll talk about. But at this point, gentlemen, I want to get into some of the more iconic moments of the movie Heat. Probably the most iconic to some, debatable. We got 2. We'll let you decide at the end of this video here. But there's one that we're going to start with first here, where now we have Pacino going through all his marital problems, trying to catch De Niro. Every chance he gets, he foils him. Now we got De Niro dealing with his crew's problems, dealing with buyers who's trying to kill them. Wayne Grove, who messed up the whole last score, and he's falling in love at the same time. So at this point, Clark, if you can, I want you to get the video ready over here. We're gonna dissect the very first encounter of Mr. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro on screen for the very first time in Heat. Clark, take it.
7 years in Folsom. In the hole for 3. McNeil before that. McNeil is tough as they say.
You looking to become a penologist?
You looking to go back? I chase down some crews, guys just looking to fuck up, get busted back. That you?
You must have worked some dipshit crews.
I worked all kinds.
You see me doing thrill-seeker liquor store holdups with a Born to Lose tattoo on my chest?
No, I do not.
Right. I am never going back.
Then don't take down scores.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
So you never wanted a regular type life?
The fuck is that? Barbecues and ball games?
Yeah.
This regular type life, that your life?
My life? No, my life. No, my life's a disaster zone. I got a stepdaughter so fucked up because her real father's this large type asshole. I got a wife. We're passing each other on the downslope of a marriage, my 3rd. Because I spend all my time chasing guys like you around the block. That's my life.
Guy told me one time, don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner. Now, if you're around me and you gotta move when I move, how do you expect to keep a marriage?
Well, that's an interesting point. What are you, a monk?
I have a woman.
What do you tell her?
I tell her I'm a salesman.
So then if you spot me coming around that corner, you're just gonna walk out on this woman? Not say goodbye?
That's the discipline.
That's pretty vacant.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's that or we both better go do something else, pal.
I don't know how to do anything else.
Neither do I.
I don't much want to either.
Neither do I.
You know, I have this recurring dream. I'm sitting at this big banquet table, and all the victims of all the murders I ever worked are sitting at this table, and they're staring at me with these black eyeballs because they got 8-ball hemorrhages from the head wounds. And there they are, these big balloon people, because I found them 2 weeks after they'd been under the bed. The neighbors reported the smell, and there they are, all of them just sitting there.
What do they say?
Nothing.
No talk?
Just, they don't have anything to say. See, we just look at each other. They look at me. And that's it. That's the dream.
I have one where I'm drowning. And I gotta wake myself up and stop breathing or I'll die in my sleep.
You know what that's about?
Yeah, having enough time.
Enough time to do what you want to do.
That's right.
You doing it now?
Not yet.
You know, we're sitting here, you and I, like a couple of regular fellas. You do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
There's a flip side to that coin. What if you do got me boxed in, and I gotta put you down? Because no matter what, you will not get in my way. We've been face to face, yeah. But I will not hesitate. Not for a second.
Maybe that's the way it'll be. Or, who knows?
Or maybe we'll never see each other again.
We have just saw the very first historic movie masterpiece moment there. Our first ever scene with Mr. Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Man, it did not disappoint.
Amazing.
I mean, the build up to get to this scene, number one, was intense. I mean, you're watching the whole film. Pacino is plotting, De Niro's catching up, and he just pulls Al Pacino. I mean, excuse me, Al Pacino pulls over Robert De Niro. They invite him to have a cup of coffee. Of all moments, as small as it is, there, pulls them in, and they have a sit down. Just have a cup of coffee. Two regular guys, not a police officer in front of a criminal, not the criminal who knows this is the police officer who's been chasing him, but just two guys having a cup of coffee, just shooting the shit. And what's amazing about this scene here, I mean, obviously the words we'll get into what they said, but Michael Mann, the director himself, I'm going to keep talking because I mean his planning of how he filmed this movie has to be commended here. He knew in the script that this moment was going to come up, and he did not want it to disappoint. He had it's a big expectation on his shoulders here. You're getting this shot to do something no one's ever had a chance to do in film yet. He wanted it to be perfect. So before they even shot this scene here, they wanted to make sure that they filmed other scenes first and got both actors into their roles. Really meant like really inside these roles before because they didn't want it to be Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. They wanted it to be Hannah and they wanted it to be Neil, the character names, right? So they sit down and they have the most honest conversation with each other there. And by the way, Michael Mann, this is a great thing about this particular scene here. Michael Mann had two cameras, one on De Niro, one on Pacino, on each side of them there. So the reasoning for that one there is because he wanted to see, not obviously which was going to be the best take, which by the way, if you guys ever want to look into it, it's take 11. He says take 11 was the one we went with. Every time De Niro said something to Pacino and vice versa, he wanted to make sure he captured the moment of the other actor getting that information back. So he says if there's anything that he's most proud of in his career, he says he built a character and actor study of the highest grade by just watching those two act in that scene together there. 6 minutes, regular gentlemen talking there. I want to get the panel's feeling this. I really want to start off with Tank on this one here because obviously this is a very exciting moment in the movie for myself. I'm sure I speak for Clark and Spike on that one as well too. But Tank, for you, sir, I mean, you know, you powering through this movie over here. You coming off a plane, jet lagged and all that stuff here. When you got to that scene there, I mean, tell me, I mean, were you disappointed or did you feel really glad you kept watching the movie after you got that scene in?
No, I wasn't disappointed at all. I mean, like I said, those, they're, I'm not as knowledgeable on their bodies of work as you guys are, but I know they're both, the greatest who ever done it. But no, it held up to everything. Like I said, with me only watching it the one time, I don't remember too much of all the dialogue. But just, that contrast of like, Pacino's like how intense he was in this movie, and then De Niro's, his calmness, just that combination, just, really just made that scene a great scene.
Yeah. Spike, tell me, how'd you feel about that scene, man? What does that scene mean to you, watching that over again?
You could have almost ended the movie with it, bro.
Could have, couldn't you?
It was a culmination of, time and essence of the two characters. And just like you mentioned here, which is just brilliance by man, to build those characters up and to get you engaged and locked on with who you're rooting for or pulling for, and to see them come together, and then it to be like I'm on edge the first time I see it because he gets the call, he knows he can catch Macaulay, and just you don't know where Pacino's head is at really. What is he gonna do when he gets to him? He's gonna get him. And then De Niro's super cool. Like, is he gonna panic? Is he going to just like how's he gonna play this? And the whole time he's looking at it like, where is this going? You know what I'm saying? This is a little different. This guy is a wild card. What is he thinking? I'm ready either way. And they go for the cup of coffee and they sit down, and it's like you said, one of the coolest moments you'll ever see. You see a calm comes over Pacino like a wave of relaxation. He sits down, two regular dudes. I'm gonna let you know where I'm coming from. Here's all my cards on the table, bro, because you know who I am. I know who you are. And De Niro just takes it all in. He's not threatened by it. He's very calm, and he lets him know how he feels about everything, where we are, who each other's are. You know what I do for a living. I'm not going to stop, and your job's to try to come get me, And so it gives me another buildup, that mounting of what else is to come after this at this point. Because it's like, it's all of this buildup that happens right in there, and then they just casually part. Like, that didn't just happen. Like, the two greatest, that's like Batman and Joker sitting down at the table together, seriously, and having that kind of conversation. You know what I'm
Extra
saying?
point for Spike for referencing Batman again. I love it. Keep
You know
going.
what I'm saying? Like that's something you would not typically see. You know what I'm saying? These are two guys at the pinnacle of their careers. They're the best at what they do. And they sit down, hash a few things out over a cup of coffee in the middle of the night, and then go separate ways. It's an amazing scene, very well written, very well shot. And I didn't know that until you brought it up how they shot it, but I always admired how it looked. Okay. It makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you're right there at the table, and you're
Yeah.
absorbing everything as it comes about. Very well put together. So yeah, that for me, legendary. Legendary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing too about that scene, which is so unique to me now, because now knowing kind of the why behind the what of what they did there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're cutting back and forth to whoever's talking on screen, that's the
Mm-hmm.
same cut. They wanted it perfect at the exact moment there. They wanted
Mm-hmm.
to get De Niro's expression when Pacino talked. They wanted Pacino's expression when De Niro talked. And
Mm-hmm.
what was what's interesting about what you said about what's going to happen here, just to rewind it real quick. Pacino just found out his wife was cheating with some guy right
Exactly.
before that happened. Just
Exactly.
found out. Which, by the way, another great scene. He's just like, hey, you can have sex with my wife, but you cannot watch TV on my television. And he
Right.
grabs the little TV with him, which I thought was great. Of
So
all
think
the
about
things,
it.
but whatever.
Think about what you said previously, bro. You're talking about an erratic drug using detective who has a gun and the ability to use it whenever he wants to. He
Mm-hmm.
gets this kind of news for the third time that his
Yep.
marriage is done, you know,
Yep.
and then he turns right around and goes after somebody he could legally shoot if he wanted to take it out on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
like I
could have
said,
gone either way.
and that's what I say. So you take all of that emotion from that scene, and then when you see that wave of calm on him as he walks in, just to, hey, let's go have a cup of coffee. And it
Yeah.
just settles in. It's like, wow. Just
There's like, yeah, sure, why not? He goes,
yeah.
follow me. So casual. Yeah,
Love
well,
it.
Clark, you sir, a very iconic scene. Probably something that people will continue to review, dissect and watch on video and movie and YouTube and social media for years to come. Here, Clark, what were your thoughts on that scene when you finally got to that point in the movie?
Well, one thing I want to point out was a great observation with regards to the cinematography, Spike and Danny. Obviously the way the camera setups were. I mean, it was an intimate conversation. But one of the things that goes without saying, and a lot of the people, critics even or audience folks, they were disappointed at first, or disappointed because they were like, well, they're only together for a few minutes. You know what I mean? In the entire 3-hour movie, it's like under like 7 minutes of screen time. But that's what makes it brilliant. Because you don't want we think we want more of a good thing, but it doesn't work that way. If you eat something and you keep eating it, right, your favorite dish, after a while it's not gonna be your favorite dish anymore. And if you eat too much at one setting, it's not gonna go down well. So I think the big thing on this one here is that less was more, in that, like, everything leading up to this point, these two iconic characters of film and two iconic actors that come into that diner and sit down and really are basically the cat and mouse, have sat together to conversate on what they're going to do to one another if they meet in the line of fire. So for me, that scene is brilliant, but also the way it was filmed and the fact that it's understated. It's a short scene when you put it in context with the rest of the film. And then, of course, the finale, which is more of two men running from each other. There's no actual, like, straight-on dialogue. But I have to say, that scene is probably as good as it's ever going to get with the way that setup was for two of those iconic characters. And so I, for one, give Michael Mann, the director, credit. I mean, the guy's brilliant. I mean, I don't know, there's this little gem of a movie that actually introduced an iconic villain of film, and that is Hannibal Lecter. Before Silence of the Lamb and before Anthony Hopkins made it famous, there was a movie called Manhunter that actually starred William Peterson, who we all know from CSI, the main mothership CSI, the main character. But man, it had an amazing story, and it was like a prequel of Hannibal Lecter. So if you guys ever get a chance to see it, it's definitely a gem. It came out in the 80s. It's called Manhunter. It came out in 1986, as a matter of fact. So if you get a chance, but just amazing direction from Michael Mann. And like I said, one thing I want you guys to know, I know you love the movie Collateral. That movie,
great movie,
right?
Great movie.
And you know who that's with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
That's the same director who directed that.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice the theme there, L.A. as a city and everything else. And one of the things I wanted to say, Danny, that gives me this opportunity to do so now, is that it goes without saying that the other main character of this movie is the city of Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles, the way it's filmed, the night, the lights, the helicopters, the scenes of different things happening throughout the entire movie, from daylight to nighttime, just incredible. As they say in football, what is it? The 12th man or something
12th man, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But let me tell you, that character, he knows how to make that city shine bright. Obviously, doing that movie Collateral was a huge thing. And one of his other underappreciated films that I think is getting a lot more appreciation now is Ali. Based on the story of Muhammad Ali, he actually directed that as well, with Will Smith in the title role. So, anyway, I could go on and on, but let me tell you, that scene it goes down in history. They have acted together after that, and to be honest with you, in just piss poor movies, unfortunately. Right?
Was it a Righteous Kill?
Nothing.
I think it's called?
Right. Righteous trash.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but let me tell you, this movie is one of the best movies ever made in that genre.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Clark. Absolutely. Yeah, for myself, watching that scene and, just kind of isolating from the rest of the movie and taking myself out of it and just watching it for what it is here, it feels like a boxing event. Before the fight, you got this weigh in, two tight ends on each side there. Let's say fantasy booking. Let's say this was, like you mentioned, Ali. Let's throw Tyson and Ali battling there, right? And they're just talking what they're going to do to each other there. And I think the best line of the entire movie does have to go to Al Pacino. Absolutely does have to go to Al Pacino. When he's talking to De Niro and he's telling him what he's got to do, he goes, first of all, like, if I got to take you down, I'm not going to like it. But, buddy, if it comes between you or some poor bastard who you're going to make a widow, brother, you are going down. that scene hits so hard that the rest of the movie, you're like, what the hell is going to happen? Because, of course, De Niro responded, it was great. But I'm sorry, when Pacino said that part right there, I thought that was his best scene in the entire movie. Because I believed the hell out of him. Like, he's so absolutely passionate about his work and making sure he's protecting
and
people.
That was the most clarity, Danny. I completely like that scene. Like, he changes from the "what do you want" to "what do you got" to total.
He got serious.
Yeah.
Clear-minded. My wife didn't just bang somebody. I'm not high on whatever I took in the car right over here. It's just like, no, intense focus and letting you know what I'm gonna do if it comes down to you or somebody else you're gonna hurt. Bravo to Pacino. Yeah. That was masterclass of acting right there.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you can always tell when Pacino, when he taps into his theater roots, where it comes from, and man, you feel that right there. Pacino, again, De Niro did a great job on that scene as well too, kind of counter and say, hey, I won't hesitate. That's all good and well, De Niro. I give you props. You did a great job in this movie, but that was Pacino's scene, hands down. Pacino owned that scene right there, which kind of leads us. I'm sorry, which kind of leads us to what we're going to be covering next. Spike, I know you feel like you want to jump out of the chair. I don't want to go to the next segment of the show without giving you some time here. What's up, man? What's on your mind?
It's not that, I don't want to stop the flow, but I get you. I love that scene with Pacino. You're right, but we can't take any away from Bobby on this one, which is ironic because you choose him in the movie, because right after that is with I'll just say this: where De Niro confirms that he's everything you believe him to be in the movie. When he looks him clean in the eye with those piercing eyes, and he goes, "Yeah, we've talked. Yes, I like you too. We've had coffee." He said, "But make no mistake, I will not hesitate." And when he looks at him, he goes, "Not even for a second." That right there let you know that, this is OK Corral, dude. This is Mexican standoff, whatever you call it.
Absolutely.
Like, it's going down, bro. Like, that whole thing right there. And they part later, right after that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it lets you know, okay, both men mean what they say. You know what I'm saying? So I can't, and I love you because I get it. Pacino does steal the scene. But De Niro absolutely gives you a taste of, it ain't just about you, buddy.
De Niro can scare the shit out of you by the way he shifts his eyes. I completely agree with you. He did that in Goodfellas when he was going to murder someone, and Ray Liotta's character was trying to prevent it. And the way his eyes shifted, oh, man, scary, bro, scary. That is masterful acting.
No doubt. I mean, again, both actors did an incredible job in that scene there. I just picked out my favorite part of it there. But, I mean, I can definitely see the argument for De Niro's side of it as well, too. He was phenomenal as well.
Well, I mean, you picked him as the main, person that you felt edged out Pacino. But you at least, you recognize the power in that scene. And so
100%.
that's definitely a balanced, observation.
That's all I'm doing.
Without a doubt.
That's all I'm doing is giving him his props because Danny has recognized him throughout the movie. And I'm saying I get that weight from that scene for you for De Niro. Because remember, my original pull is for Pacino.
Right.
And you're doing the contrast.
Right. Exactly.
I'm pulling for De Niro, but Pacino here.
But gentlemen, that's what we cracked the shell here. That's the whole point about this movie here, guys. There is no right or wrong person to choose. Yes, one person is supposed to be good, one's supposed to be bad. But from scene to scene, you can find yourself rooting for the other. And that's the beauty of this movie. And more importantly, that's the beauty of this scene. You don't want to see any of these gentlemen lose. You don't want to see De Niro lose. You don't want to see Pacino lose. You want them both to win, but you know you can't. There can only be one. Not to plug a Highlander over here, but there can only be one, right? But I love at the very end of this very strong, again, almost friendship-like conversation they had up until this point here. I love the fact that even though they just had this very tense moment with each other, they couldn't help but look across the room at each other and give each other that smirk. Like, if you weren't you and I wasn't me, we could have been friends.
Exactly.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I thought it was incredible. To this day, again, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about this right here. Like it's phenomenal. Again, and Clark already mentioned it. Less is more. We got a full movie with Pacino and De Niro. Doesn't compare to the 6 minutes we just got right here.
Yep.
So, absolutely. All right, gentlemen, we're moving on. There's so much more to unpack about this here. We can talk about this all day long, but let's get right into the second most iconic, and it's debatable depending on who you ask, the second most iconic scene. We just had the weigh-in, Pacino De Niro. Now we get the fights. Not just any fight. Absolutely iconic gun battle / bank heist fights. Gentlemen, I've been dying all night to watch this again because it never gets old. And for the audience at home, if you have surround sound and whatever device you're listening to on, I recommend putting it to maximum value. It is about to go down. Clark, hit him with it.
Get down. Fucking door!
Clear. No, out of the way. Out of the way.
Backlife. Man. Whew. Sorry, I need a moment here, bro. I need a moment.
Yes.
Dude, what a
very
amazing.
intense. Very intense. Yes, we can all agree. We're gonna throw back the Tank on this one here. Okay. I want some Tank right
Go
now.
back to the intensity of Tank after
Go
this
back
scene.
to Tank there. Okay. So I gotta know, Tank, when you saw this scene, how did you feel, bro?
I felt it was it was a great scene. It brought me, it's weird to compare it to a movie that was a lot more recent, but the movie Den of Thieves that had very intense
Oh, yeah,
shootout
yeah,
at
Glad
the
you
end.
brought that one up
Yeah.
there. It's a
And
carbon copy.
You talk about the
Heat. I'm
scene
glad
in
you
the
brought it up.
yeah.
and so it gave so I guess they must have copied it from this one because it gave me those same vibes where just pretty much sh- bullets going
Yeah.
everywhere, all the bad guys getting taken down one by one. So it was it was a dope scene. I mean, kind of when they started like the weird slow chase scene, that kind of went downward for me with just Pacino and De Niro, but the overall shootout it was dope.
That was sick. I'm so happy you brought up Den of Thieves. And that really just tells me a lot, Tank, as far as like what generations outside of some of us older folks here think is good quality gun scenes and fight scenes. Listen, Den of Thieves is a good movie, but I'm going to be honest with you. It is a carbon copy of Heat. I mean, through and through. Maybe tweaked a couple things, but I mean, if you had to put them together, there you got name brand and you got great value. That's what that is right there. That's what it is.
Yep.
But it is a good movie. It's a good movie. But yeah, you can thank Michael Mann for that one too. All right, so moving along, gentlemen, man, that scene never gets old. Spike, take us through it, man. I mean, you seen this here for God knows how many times now.
Oh my
I mean,
God, countless.
keep in mind again, folks. I want to remind the room, 1995. This happened, 1995. Think of every movie that you've seen up till now, 2021, and I would love for anybody to make an argument. There's a better gun scene than that. Practical gun scene. Let me be clear. CGI does not count.
Nope. Listen, I saw that movie when the Heat when it came out. I saw it again years later. I obviously I watched it all the time, but I owned it on DVD. Picture what is this? 1998 or so. I'm in a 600 square foot apartment with stereo sound subwoofer. I'm in a ground floor apartment, bro, and it is loud and it is rumbling. It is one of the most realistic gunfights you will ever see. Tank, I'm glad you brought up Den of Thieves and that you touched on it as well, Danny, for being carbon copy. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it. And the reason I say that is it's proof of what we're saying. It is an inspiration for any type of shootout thereafter following. super realistic to the size of the bullet holes in the car, the way the paint chips off, how the glass shatters, not too many explosions, guys being taken down, some guys dying, some guys getting severely hurt. The accuracy plays a big role. These are gangsters, but they're not pinpoint marksmen. They're shooting just like they trained to be, like to keep the cops away, to go, to move. Um, One thing I will say about this and jump back in, but the city of Los Angeles is really crap for this because there's no way they should have been having this shootout with all those people, but being around all those civilians. But I mean, just even starting it off, the guys look amazing in their suits. They're rolling in, coming out of the bank with these guns. I love the fact that Val Kilmer does not hesitate. The moment he spots those cops, he immediately starts shooting. And to your points earlier, De Niro knows what's what. He doesn't ask a question. He just turns and starts shooting himself. None of the police were prepared for this other than Hannah and his two right guys, Buffalo Bill and, the black guy, Bubblegum.
Bubblegum.
Yep, those are the only two guys that were really ready for the rest. All of the blues, none of those guys are ready for what happened, man. But we're talking, like I said, one of the most realistic and intense shootouts you will see. And man did a great job of not giving it too much, but not giving you a short amount either. He made you feel like you were in the middle of it. I mean, watching it seriously, like you said, in surround sound or stereo sound, you almost want to duck. Like the rumble, the way the bullets are coming, the sounds, it makes you feel like they're shooting at you too. Like it's insane. I love it. I love that scene, man. It's iconic. And as many action movies, because I'm an action guy, as I've seen, I still have not seen one to rival that scene. There's plenty of them that are entertaining that you'll watch, but the most realistic and engaging shootout that I've ever seen in cinema was the In Heat. It captivates the entire movie for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, in movies, a lot of times, gunfighting can be glorified and made to look pretty and stuff like that there. This was gritty. This was real. This was, in a real world environment, that would be a terrifying thing to witness there,
That's great.
And I'm glad you brought up the police officers there and, the ongoing battle that's going on here, because keep in mind, well, police officers, they're not equipped for these kinds of situations. They may have the manpower,
SWAT team is needed for that. Yeah.
Yes, you need SWAT. You need some heavy duty people on there. I mean, they got a couple of handguns and a couple of 12 gauges, and that's about it. And you're going against, fully auto ARs right there, and you're straight up. And I'm doing my best not to say the names for, obviously, any kind of flagging reasons.
Exactly.
But that being said, I mean, there was 4 gunmen out there, and they took out. I mean, it looked like an entire priest.
Bro, it had to be 35 to 50 cops. Seriously.
Yeah, it was. And again, I mean, you made an amazing point that, what, I wish I thought of it myself. I'm so glad you reminded me. Just the way the bullets project out into doors and glass and things like that. I mean, it just goes to how authentic this gun battle is, and I think that's why I hold it such a high regard, just because of how realistic it truly is to what it would be like if you were put in that kind of situation. And I just love your anecdote about how you're in your 600 square foot apartment watching in surround sound. I'm hearing you tell that story. I'm getting, because obviously I've watched it in surround sound too, and it's absolutely, again, there's no comparison to it. You must watch, if you're gonna watch any part of this movie surround sound, watch that scene. You're gonna thank me later. But I just picture you in your 600 square foot apartment watching this, the gunfire and all that. And I'm pretty sure the police were banging on your door and you didn't even know it for the noise complaint. You probably thought it was just part of the background of the movie scene there. So yeah.
No kidding, bro. No kidding. After I saw that scene, one of my neighbors came over and asked me, was everything okay? He literally said he had no idea what it was. He said it took it a moment to realize it was a movie. He's like, because it was just way too much screaming and different things happening, but it scared my neighbor next door. But I froze. Like when I watched it and I had everything turned up, it just, like I said, you feel the rumble. You feel every aspect of it. It's for all the fans out there, you have got to see it this way. Like I said, even in stereo sound, even if you don't have surround sound, even just stereo sound, you will feel this. Yep, turn it up, baby.
You'll like it there, absolutely. Well, I hope you offered your neighbor a a cup of popcorn or a bucket of popcorn there and tell him have it or something like that. But you can tell me about that a little bit later. But no, I didn't like that guy actually. But yeah, and you know what? The preparation for this scene is actually quite impressive here. So you mentioned the city of Los Angeles. How dare they let them film a scene like this? So fun fact: they were only allowed to shoot this on the weekends, and they had to break it up over multiple weeks. Oh, baby, look, baby Yoda over there in the mask could not believe what I just said. Yes. So
Grogu down.
Grogu down. That's right. Yeah. So
He
they
was
had to shoot
scared. He
this.
was scared.
They had to tear this scene down every weekend and put everything right back exactly to where it was. The following weekend, they were able to shoot, and they had to do it for multiple weeks. Um, the other thing that's probably the standout of the scene, aside from the amazing um, marksmanship that the actors had in this here, was the sound itself. The sound was the conductor, if you will, of this symphony of gunfire. So when it comes to this part of the movie here, you know, they number one, they did things very well when they were preparing for this gunfight. They took the actors to training like they typically do in movies now, but they did something incredibly dangerous and in my opinion very stupid, but it added to the realism for them when they got on stage. When they practice the the gunfight, they use live ammunition when they practiced. They used live ammunition during practice there. So that way, and the reason behind that there was the stunt director wanted them to know what it would be like in a real situation like that were ever to occur. So they can again, the preparation that Michael Mann went through with all of his actors to get them to in these roles here, truly remarkable. In fact, everybody who was a criminal in this movie here, part of the crew, they all had to visit prisons and speak to inmates and all that stuff just to get their act. And they went to separate prisons, by the way. He made them go all to separate prisons and interview separate ones there to actually understand their character. So, because obviously not everyone in the crew is going to go to the same jail. It's not a buddy system when you get in there, right? So they made them all go across the country to different prisons, speak to different inmates, and that's the motivation for your character. Really, really hardcore stuff there. And an interesting thing too is here's a great part that they did set this up. They had Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer actually um, case out a real bank, and they had to come back to the production van that was waiting outside and tell them where all the cameras were at, how they would take down the score, what would be their exit routes. I mean, they literally prepped them as if they were going to really be career criminals. Truly amazing there.
I love
But
the detail.
the most impressive part about it all is when they're going to sound editing and they're going to go ahead and mix the gunfire. Michael Mann said, take it out. They're like, why would you take out the gunfire? His response was, it wasn't scary enough. So what they wound up doing is they used the actual production sound on excuse me on stage, or else, I mean on the street, the real streets of Los Angeles. They used the production sound to get that unique gunfire sound that's become really a trademark of Michael Gunn's style when it comes to shooting films like that, such as the scenes from Miami Vice, Collateral. All those are all baked out of this idea he had on the set of Heat there. So truly impressive. Probably the most methodically thought out gunfight I've ever seen. And again, it's all practical. There's no CGI. There's nothing crazy here. In fact, so impressive that the United States Marines Corps actually show Val Kilmer reloading his rifle in real time to new recruits, and he actually was on record saying he's very flattered because he said that it was sent to him and he was informed about this. They say, and I quote to every new recruit, if an actor can reload a gun this good, you better be able to do a lot better, because that right there is top-notch stuff there. So this again just shows the realism of that there. But Clark, you and I have spoken about this a couple times, kind of broke down the scene there, and I want you to kind of get your shine here because you have some excellent points about this scene here, and I want you to kind of get your portion of it out there because you got some great stuff to share with us on your perspective of the scene and some of the things you noticed as well.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, the scene and the realism, as you guys both mentioned, is just second to none. And I think when you really look at it, the realism is magnified by the fact that the actors were basically, trained to protect themselves from gunfire in that scene as opposed to just shooting like you're not worried about getting shot. And I think that's what takes away from the realism when you see folks actors that are shooting and they're being shot at but they don't look like they're trying to like take cover. And so that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the things I thought was like a really huge standout. Obviously, the realism, the fact that you have several different camera angles covering different aspects from the beginning of Val Kilmer's, looking directly at the barrel when he starts shooting out, and then from there, when you have the different people that you see the reaction shots when when some of the good guys in the film are being killed, and even like the scene with Dennis Hasbert's character, the getaway driver that was the short order cook. When he gets shot and slumps over, like all those little nuances that lead up to it. And obviously for me, the intensity of those scenes, but also the the pure terror that it's instilling in that whole scene, because you really feel the danger in that, and so like when you compare that to realistic instances, and I've seen instances where there have been LA gunfights, and you see them like filming from the helicopters, and it's just incredible, and it looks exactly like this movie. And so incredible scene. To me, I think what really stands out is that point where the character Tom Sizemore, the actor, is at that point he's getting desperate, right? But he doesn't. You notice he doesn't get rid of the money that's holding him
Mm-hmm.
from getting a clean
Mm-hmm.
getaway. Because if he would have dropped the money, he probably would have been able to go for a lot further. But when you're carrying probably over 100 pounds on you, you're going to be, or probably more than that, right, Spike?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, but I think, when you think about it, it's like that scene played out perfectly. But, like, again, Al Pacino assessed the situation. He knew that it was life or death when you have a child. If you're going to grab a kid as a hostage and start firing erratically, God knows what you're gonna do. And so that scene was so intense, and then of course it leads to him point blank range, bam, shot, headshot, which I thought was incredible marksmanship. So really intense scene that holds up completely to this day because there's no CGI. See, CGI dates itself. You see all the different warts and all,
Imperfections.
right? But when you're dealing with such like realism by doing everything on not a set but on the streets of LA, and then you also have the chargers coming out that are like bursting each of the areas that show and illustrate the gunshots, as you mentioned, Spike, with the down to the paint chips. You have such realism in there that when you watch it again, you're like, man, this is like truly realistic in its execution. So again, I could talk on and on about the merits of how well this film was executed from a directing perspective, from a cinematography, right to the acting. But again, I'll say it again, the realism and the grit that this movie has is what makes it timeless.
Yep. I get
Yeah,
that.
I couldn't agree with you more, Clark. I mean, that's a great assessment of that there, truly. Yeah. So, yeah, having all said that, what happens at the end of this movie now? Like, what? How do you top that there? Well, now it's the real chase. Now Pacino has got De Niro on the ropes now. He is on the run. He is down a man. He's actually down two men technically, and an unfortunate volunteer there, which very tragic about that character there. Kind of coming in the last second to fill in, trying to turn his life around. Fortunately, falls into past things that he did there, and just hey, wrong place, wrong time, I guess. Yeah. So, anyways, so now we're at the finale here, guys. De Niro's on the run. He's got his money. He's got Val Kilmer's money too, waiting for him. Hell, he's got his girl. We barely talked about her, but he's got his woman. She's on board, and she knows everything. He's in his car. He can get away. He has a smile on his face. Everything's gonna be okay. But then he makes his mistake. His first true mistake in this movie here. He didn't follow his own rules. And he went back for revenge. He let it get personal. He had to take out Wayne Grove. He had to take out the guy that Wayne Grove was working for to track them down. And what happens? You give Pacino just enough time when he couldn't find you to catch back up to you. And now you're stuck with a big decision now. You just took care of business. Wayne Grove's out of the picture. You're about to make it your car. You're smiling. You see your old lady. She's looking at you. You're looking at her. Everything's going to be okay. You turn to your right and you notice Pacino is starting to run towards you. What do you do? He said it. He said, I will not hesitate. So at that very moment, do I risk it all or do I stick to my principles that's gotten me this far? And he took off. He left her behind.
He sure did.
She looked confused.
Yep.
She looked disappointed. She looked scared. She didn't know what was going to happen next. And here comes Al Pacino, man of his word. Buddy, you are going down, he's saying in his head. Just like he said that coffee scene there. Quick chase goes on. Couple of airplanes pass by, gives away his position. Bang, bang. Again, complete silence. No talking. Music's playing in the background. De Niro slumped over. He doesn't even look at him. He just extends his hand and holds it and lets him know he's not alone in that moment.
Right. Which I thought that was an extremely stand-up thing to do. You know what I mean? And it showed the level of compassion that he had for a human being. Regardless of him being a killer or anything else like that. But like that scene is you here's the problem. You go in there, you try to go big. Even everything that we led to this point. This really was not the movie. You understand what I'm saying? This was just a finale. This was a cause and effect. This was the outcome. It did not need to drag out, and it didn't drag out, which I thought made it an amazing, conclusion. Because ultimately, the most interesting part for me was to see how the very thing that De Niro's character kept on saying, don't take it personally. You got to be ready to go, go, go. He was so consumed with getting revenge with Wayne Grove, with the guy that they stole the money from, and it all brought it down to this point, which led Al Pacino's character the ability to catch up to him, and he did. But I mean, amazing conclusion to the movie. The music, like you said, Danny, just an amazing closure to an epic, really an epic heist, crime, drama, whatever you want to like spin it in. Amazing film.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like the ending was very Shakespearean, wasn't it?
Very.
And it was a tragedy if it was. I mean, the one thing that has kept De Niro and his crew alive was the very thing that
the rule he broke
to do at the end.
Yeah.
Rule he broke is what caused his of inevitable demise there. Excuse me.
Agreed.
So very, very powerful stuff. Very, very wonderful ending. Well done. Well executed. Truly a great all-time film there. So anyone who has not, anybody who's been watching this and kind of wondering why we're so enthusiastic, we strongly recommend you watch it. It's a hell of a movie. It's going to be worth your time. I don't recommend watching it right after you come off the plane and have jet lag like poor Tank over here. We appreciate you, big brother, for being such a trooper tonight. But that being said, that concludes House of Fandom Retro Reviews Heat.
Yeah.
Clark, you want to take us home?
Thank you. Thank you very much. A great conversation, a great look back at an iconic film with two of really, arguably, the finest actors of our time. So, without a doubt, amazing. Definitely a great journey. Everyone, wherever you are, morning, noon, night, thank you so much for tuning in, for viewing, for listening. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe to the House of Fandom. It does help the algorithm gods. We're continuing to chip away and try and bring more audiences to the House of Fandom because we have a lot to talk about. Great topics, retro reviews. We have, fandom in sports with the Townie Sports guys, Vic and Sammy. And we have the mothership of all fandom, which is the House of Fandom. And in our house, everyone's welcome. So if you are a fan of movies, or if you're a fan of fandom in general, superheroes, whatever you want, it doesn't matter how old you are, come join us. We appreciate it. Again, the House of Fandom. I'm Clark on the check-in. Tank, we're gonna play us out with a song from your boy. You want to give the viewers just a little bit of a background on your boy?
Yeah, my boy Joel Torres, aka Steel Frame. Check him out on SoundCloud.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen. Thanks again. We'll talk soon. Good night.
Good night, everybody.